there's nothing wrong with you knowing that I still have issues. And there's nothing wrong with you knowing you still have issues. The problem becomes when you try to hide the issues or avoid them or blame them on somebody else. If you try to hide them, you will shut down. If you try to avoid them, then you're running away. And if you blame somebody else, you're not taking responsibility for it, and you cannot get out of that you cannot get out of it until you own it. As long as you're blaming somebody else, even if they caused it, even if they made it hard for you, you cannot get out of it until you own it. And part of the way to own it might be to forgive them. Might be to admit that they were wrong, but you're going to allow Jesus to pay for that. You're not going to make them pay for it. You're not going to pay for it yourself because Jesus already paid for it. So I'm going to forgive them, bring them to Jesus so that I can go free. That makes sense? So if you're a teenager in the spirit realm, in your journey, learn from those who are more mature. Let God show you where to take responsibility and trust the process. I've told teenagers this all over the place, that one of the main things that I see from somebody from 13 to about 25 years old.
Are you talking about
in natural age, 13 years old to about 25 years old, is that God is way more interested in your character than in your comfort or in your progress. What I mean is your career. I don't think it's wrong for an 18-year-old to be thinking about a career, but when you start focusing on that career above your character building, you are missing a step in life, and you're making it hard for yourself. If you focus on building your character, even if you have no money by the time you're 25 years old, but you focused on building your character, you will be ahead when you're 25 years old. You will be ahead of the person that made $1 million in that time. And if your character is built by the time you're 25 years old, God can use you almost wherever He wants to. If your character is not built by the time you're 25 years old, it's going to be harder for you to get it built by the time you're 30. It's going to be even harder to get it built by 45 or 50 or 80. The farther you are away from that 13 to 25 year old, the farther you are past that, the harder time it is for you to submit to character building. It's not going to be easier next week. If you need character building, how old are you? 56. So Jason's 56. If God says you need some character building, it is not going to be easier to wait till you're 57. It's going to get harder. 58 is going to be even harder. 59 is going to be even harder. What I'm saying with that is, make sure that you embrace the character building process. No matter how old you are, if you miss that window, it's even more important that you dedicate your time to character building. Because only your character building That's the only thing that I really know that matters when it really comes down to being effective in God's kingdom. And when you go through the fire, that is what's going to get burned. Everything that is hay, wood, and stubble is going to burn up. It doesn't matter how much money you invested in it. It doesn't matter how much time, how much you love it. Everything that is hay, wood, and stubble, when you go into the fire, it's going to get burned up. Everything that is of gold and silver and precious stones, the Bible says, gold, silver, and precious stones, fire will purify it and make it better. The same fire that is burning out the hay, wood, and stubble out of your life, that same fire is purifying the gold, the silver, and the precious stones in your life. You don't have to go to a different fire for one and a different fire for the other one. You just go into the fire. Just go into the fire and let it burn, trusting that in the process, everything that is hay, wood, and stubble, you don't want it anyway. You don't need it. If your teaching gift survives the fire, praise the Lord. If it was hay, wood, and stubble, you don't want it anyway. Sometimes we put it in there and we're like, oh, I'm going to miss that. And it burns for a while and you think it's all going to burn away and you come out the other side. It's like, whoa, it's still here. Wow. Go ahead.
Just to bring a little clarity in, wood, hay, and stubble are your ideas. Gold, silver, and precious stones are our inspirations from God. Just to put some,
Can you say that again?
wood, hay, and stubble is our ideas. Like we can have I'm going to make a very, blessings of hope. It could have been someone's idea. If it was a person's idea, anything good can be a person's idea. If it's wood, hay, and stubble, it's going to get burned up. But if it was an inspiration by God, it can still go through that same fire, but it comes out better. Like I worked for many years in a children's ministry. There was people that came just because it felt good to come. They had an idea I'm not convinced that all of them that came, they were motivated by God. I'm talking about staff. But they wanted to come because it felt good. It was coming from their idea. But I'm convinced there's others that came that were inspired. But what I'm bringing out is just because it's something good does not guarantee that's an inspiration from the Father. It can be your own ideas.
So the journey of character building has to do with the fruit of the Spirit, like joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness. That's what I would see. So do you have love in your life? Do you have joy in your life? Do you have peace? Do you have patience? Do you have goodness, kindness, stuff like that? And so you're going to get tested in things. Are you going to make the right decision? Are you going to, like, it makes no sense what this person over here is saying, but you sense God is saying do it anyway? Are you going to do it anyway? Is there, if just for instance, let's say that I was building your character. This was a character building class. And I would say, all right, everybody do push-ups right now. And you'd be like, why? Or you'd be like, okay, I don't understand why, but here I go. That's what we're talking about character building. Like, there's no wrong with questioning some stuff in certain areas, but there's other times when you know that God is asking something of you. And you might not want to do it. Are you going to do it anyway? Or are you going to do your own thing? Every time you reinforce your own stubbornness, your own rebellion, your own thing, you make that stronger in your life, and you make your character building weaker. Every time you decide to let go of that rebellion, you let go of that stubbornness, let go of that your own way, pride and things like that, and you decide to trust God, you build that character a little bit more. That make sense? If I take 5 hours playing your games, and I can take 20 minutes and help somebody else completely, radically change their life, which is the best investment of my time? I mean, even if it was the other way around, and I would play games with somebody for 20 minutes, or I would take 5 hours to invest in somebody's life who actually wants to change. But it's actually usually the other way around. The person who is serious about it, you can help them more in 20 minutes, usually, than you can in 5 hours with the person who's just trying to test things out. The thing that I like about an Overcomers course is you get to choose how far and how fast you want to go. And when you have a group this size, there's usually a few people that want to go. And so we can, this might sound bad, don't mean it bad, but you can ignore those who just want to sit it out for a while, and you can go with those who want to go. And in the process of that, even the people who are sitting it out are learning something, and maybe they're getting hope, maybe they're learning to trust, so that later on, they actually are getting there to where they also want it. That's the beauty of a group versus, and one of the reasons we started the Overcomers courses is that we used to do one-on-one counseling. I'd say one-on-one. It wasn't hardly ever one-on-one. It was usually my wife and I and Jake and Nancy, and we would do an hour and a half sessions. And we would sit there, and part of the time was teaching the people things, and part of the time was hearing their story. We would find ourselves sitting down and teaching something and helping them process through some stuff. An hour and a half later, or 2 hours, usually a little bit buffer between, but the next session, you teach the same thing again. And you help them process. And then you go in the next session, you do the same thing again. And you do the next session, the same thing again. We're like, what if we could get these people together in a room and we could teach them all the same thing at the same time? And then we could take a little bit of time to process, and we could help more people, and it would work that way. We prayed about it. We couldn't quite, there was a few parts of it that we weren't quite sure how to make that happen. And we were over in, I think it was in France. And we were staying at this house overnight. And that night, either, was it me or you, Jake? I think it was me that had a vision or a dream or something. Me. I had a vision or a dream or something of how this could work. And so we came back and we started Overcomers courses. And it worked even better than we thought. Because it's actually easier to help people in a group like this than one-on-one. So the hardest Overcomers course I've ever done was when we had 5 people. The easiest ones I've ever done were those 40 and over, 40 people and more.
Why do you feel that?
Because there's always people that are ready for more. And there's always people that'll sit there and I'm going to check this out. If you have 5 people that are sitting there to check this out, we run out of our teachings in the first 2 days. If you keep asking questions we start thinking of more teachings we could do, and we start answering that, and we're teaching as we're going, and then we could also do this. And by the end of the week, we're like, we still have all these teachings. Which ones is more important to do? We should probably have 2 or 3 more weeks with this crowd. It's a lot more fun that way. Right? So did the messages, Steve, did you get the message? Did it make sense? That if you don't want people to treat you like a baby, stop being one. Grow up. There's nothing wrong with being a baby if you admit you're a baby and you're willing to grow. But do you know how many people get offended? They just poop their pamper and they're crying that nobody picked them up. And then somebody comes and treats them like a baby and they get offended. You act like I'm a baby. Duh. Right? Just admit you are, and then you can grow. Grow up and become that little child that's eager to learn things in life and please the parents and find out how life works. Become that teenager who wants to learn how to go out on their own, but they also want to learn from those that are bigger than them. I mean, more mature than them. By the way, I don't believe that we have to accept teenage rebellion. Are you listening? I have experienced children that rebelled as teenagers, and I have experienced children that did not. The difference was not the children. The difference was me. I have 12 children. My 6 oldest children had a different experience with their parents than my 6 youngest children did. If you believe somebody cares about you, then you can hope more. And so, for some people, if they were never damaged, it's easier for them to hope because they believe everybody cares. I mean, I can walk into the Walmart and see the cashier and believe that they care about me. Whether they do or not, I still believe they do. Right? You might walk in and you're pretty sure they don't unless they really, do some extra special for you, then, well, maybe they do. Now, the cashier didn't change in that process. It just happens that I believe that people care. And your experience might be they don't. And so as you find healing in that, suddenly you believe people care again. And so it's not just a one size fits all. It's more like, what was your journey? What is your decision? And what are you going to do about it? Yes?
Doesn't that then change the experience you have with the cashier?
Absolutely. Because automatically, me believing they care opens me up more to them, and they feel that openness, and so they actually do care then. Right? Well, if you have trouble trusting God throughout the character building process, you would have to check your belief system about who God is, who you are, and what things are about. If you believe that this is a character building time, then you'll look at this and say, how's that building my character? But if you believe God should just make everything nice and easy for you, and then it isn't nice and easy, you might question, why doesn't God love me? Maybe he loves you enough to allow you to go through this character building process because of something that is getting you ready for in Africa or wherever, that you're going to need that muscle And so it can be perception, can be your previous experience in life, could be what your view is of God. We were talking earlier about, what is your view of God? Can God do whatever he wants? I mean, do you believe God can do whatever he wants? Depends on what you believe he wants, right?
Yeah.
I mean, God can't sin, but do you believe he wants to sin? Do you believe he wants to stop abortion here on earth here? Well, why doesn't he then? If he can do whatever he wants, why doesn't he? Well, there's a higher want that I believe that God put in place, that he wants to work through his children here on this earth. And so through that, he has limited himself to how he will operate on this earth, because he wants to work through us. So his want to put us in charge trumps his want to rescue us from everything. In fact, that's not quite true, because he actually made a way for us to get rescued out of everything if we accept Jesus as that rescue. Right? So let me give you an example of the abortion thing. This was a number of years ago. Somebody in the course asked about, the abortion question. Why does abortion just keep happening? And we talked about that it's not God's will. And we ended up praying against abortion clinics. We don't believe that they're of God. We believe they need to just stop. Over the next 3 months, over 100 abortion clinics shut down across America. Do you think that just happened? Maybe God was able to use our prayers as access for him to work. Right? So, what if it's actually more important than you think? If you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and somebody's on your heart, what if it's actually more important than you think to actually pray for them? That maybe God woke you up and it's like, hey, this person over here needs help. Can I get you to pray for them so that I can? But if you have the belief system that God can do whatever he wants, why would it be important for you to pray? If God wants to rescue them, let him rescue them. Doesn't make any difference what I say if you have that mindset. But if you get the mindset that God works through his people, you put a lot more value on prayer. You put a lot more value on being encouraging to people, caring about what they're going through, giving them some advice, helping them to make better decisions, being a father to them, becomes much more important to you if you believe that God is looking for somebody to say yes to him. And so I believe God's plan is actually better than what most people believe about God. But when you believe that God just decides, well, I'm going to bless him with a bunch of money and I'm going to bless him with cancer. What is your belief system going to be about God when that happens? You're going to be like, oh man, I better not misbehave anywhere. What if he decides to put cancer on me? And so you're here being very careful, and the other person's just doing whatever, and you get the cancer and they get the money. It's like, what in the world? What's that? But you don't understand the nature and the character of God when that is happening.
Can I speak a little bit in that prayer?
Yeah.
There was a time I was very discouraged in life and saying, what is the point of prayer? If God is really this big, why pray? It just makes no sense why I got to pray to move God's hand. Till I understood of his system, of how he set it up. In Genesis 1, God told Adam, I gave you dominion over the earth. The place where I work, we put foremans in place. If you want to make on a practical level, if you want to have a business and you put foremans in place, if you want to really screw it up, here's how you do it. You put a foreman in place, make him responsible, and then go around his back and start giving them directions. You want to bring chaos, that brings chaos. Well, God is not a person of chaos. So he goes and he says, people, I put you in charge of the earth. So when you go and pray, saying, okay, now let me back up to a practical level. If one of my foremen comes to me and say, I got this issue, what should I do? Or there's times they come to me and say, I can't handle this. Go do it. I'll take care of it. But they got to come to me first. Mm-hmm. And they got to say, deal with this, or get instructions from me how to deal with it. And earth is the same way. When we run up against something, we come to God and say, God, I'm up against. Mm-hmm. Either he'll give you instructions how to do it, or he'll handle it. But you got to first of all make the move and come to God and say, here's my issue.
But if that same foreman comes to Steve and says, should I cut the 2x4s first or the 2x6s?
Get out of my face.
It's like, well, do whatever you want. Well, but which is your will? Like, wait, which is your will? Well, just do whichever you want. Well, but I want to please you. What is your will?
If you want to please me, then you cut them.
Just go cut the 2x4s. Sometimes Christians are here like, but I don't quite know for sure. Does God want me to eat the chicken or the fish? I really want to please him. God, chicken or fish? It's like, beef. Eat whatever you want. Like, or do I scrub the bathrooms first? Or do I do the wash first? There might be a time, the little children, you tell them, yeah, always do this first. When you're washing the dishes, do the forks first, do the knives second, do the glass, do it this way. Maybe you have a certain way you want them to do it. But you teach them, and then you don't want them coming back the next day saying, should I do the same as yesterday? Or do you want me to do it different today? You might do that for a few days, but after a bit, it's like, wash the dishes. Are you with me? Yeah. Right? Sometimes it's like God is just saying, wash the dishes. I believe it comes from an over possessiveness of getting everything exactly right. And Jake and I worked at the Water Street Rescue Mission every Friday for, I think it was like 3 years, in the drug and alcohol section, working with mental health. And with this one person that was assigned to us, he would like to go through a door. He would have to like come up to the threshold of the door, and he would have to lift his foot like, what was it, 3 times? And then if he did it exactly right, then he could walk through the door. But then he had to also do 3 times on the other side of the door. And then if he didn't quite get that right, he had to step back on the other side of the door and do it again. Because maybe he didn't stomp quite hard enough the 3rd time or something, So he would be here. So to get into the room where we were, had to come through a set of doors here, a set of doors here, and up to the counter, and then a set of doors here, and then a set of doors, to go into the room where we were. And so we would have to get him started early to get him there on time. He missed his bus a few times because the bus driver was just not going to wait around until he got it right. It's awful, right? And I would like to think we made some difference in his life, but I'm not completely sure we did.
I'd like
But-
to say something. We laugh about it, but it's not a laughable matter when you're
in that, exactly.
around.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't blame the bus driver. We tried to be. I feel like we understood enough to know this was real to him, and there was no way to just push him through the door. He would go crazy.
He would freak out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And so, but I believe that it's a fruit. It's a result of eating from the forbidden fruit.
Probably a fear of making mistakes.
Fear of making mistakes. You know what the forbidden fruit is, right? It's the tree of the knowledge of good. Knowing what is good. Right? And evil. Yeah. Knowing what is good and evil. We have to make sure we add that because we know it's the evil tree, right? But it really isn't. It's forbidden fruit, but it's not the evil tree, so to speak. It's that thing of needing to know right or wrong, this or that, here or there, good or bad. And it's not the same as living from the tree of life. This would be like an extreme of that. I just need to be good, so good, get it so right, get it so exact, or I am not safe. I am not accepted. I am not doing it right. So it's like an extreme of that.